The Houston Texans come to Nashville and beat the Tennessee Titans 19-14 on Christmas Eve. The Titans have lost 5 in a row and set up an AFC South championship game in Week 18 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Alongside former Titan Dr. Kevin Dyson, I'm Will Boling. Welcome to Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. All you need online at leecompany.com. 615-737-1045 is our number. And Dr. Dyson, it was a rough day for Malik Willis and the Titans offense, who ultimately are outlasted in the second half by the now 2-12-1 Houston Texans.
It's becoming a familiar story with the Titans offense, specifically in the second half of ball games. First and foremost, wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, yes, sir.
Obviously, we would love to be celebrating in a little different fashion today. I don't know what the expectation was for Malik Willis going into this game. I don't know, what we were hoping to see. We saw some flashes of some things that he did brilliantly. Then we saw some things where were concerning. I mean, rookie-type things from him, but that's to be expected. But at the end of the day, I don't care how good your quarterback is in the back there, you have to be able to protect him. He was under pressure. I think they gave up 4 sacks just in the first half alone. That makes it hard for him to catch any kind of rhythm because everything's being thrown under duress and maybe in a hurry. You feel that pressure, especially being a young guy. That has to be probably the biggest concern on offense. So he did his moment. There were some bright spots. We saw where Derrick Henry got another 100-yard game, and defensively, Danico Archery showing up and showing out again. Good to have him back. So, I heard the fans as we were talking about it. They're ready to light it up, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna let the fans speak for this one.
And we have got already many of you who are on the phone lines waiting to jump in. 615-737-1045 is the number this afternoon. We go until 6:30 here on Christmas Eve, and get ready for Santa Claus to come see all of us after that. 615-737-1045 here as we talk to you on Titans Talkback. We go straight to the phones where many of you are ready to react to this loss. Jeff in Nashville gets the first word here this afternoon on Titans Talkback. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for taking my call. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
Jeff.
Christmas, brother.
Yeah, hey, all I wanted to do is just get a conversation started about it's time for changes. We're tired of the excuses. It's time to make changes. John Robinson is gone. It's time to, unfortunately, we need a coaching change. These players, we need some depth, and we don't have it. We're in the NFL. Let's just face it. We're in the NFL. Sean Payton's ready to go. He just hired Vic Fangio, and we need to make some decisions now. Amy Adams has identified that she wants to win. She wants to take us to a new level. We got a stadium on the way. We're not going to be able to do it without investing. I'm going to let you guys go. Again, have a Merry Christmas. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks, Jeff.
Merry Christmas.
There's no way Mike Vrabel is not the coach of the Tennessee Titans next year. And if your reasoning in saying it's time to have a conversation is you don't have enough depth, Mike Vrabel has very little to do with that. That's why you're in the search for a general manager. So, no, that's not on the table yet. Absolutely not.
And injuries, that affects your depth, especially quality of depth, because sometimes you're picking up guys that are left off of rosters at this point in the season for one reason or another. I don't think Vrabel's going anywhere, and nor should he at this point, right? Because he's been a constant winner. It's been consistent, and the hands he's been dealt with the last 2 years, not a lot of head coaches wouldn't be able to survive and still win football games. Now, this losing streak, this is something everybody has to overcome. This is rare territory, especially for him as a head coach. He hasn't had to go through something as almost like a landslide. It seems like it just can't stop the floods right now because you're trying to get a victory so bad. But this is something we'll see how he is. I'm sure he's going to go with the same approach, preparing for the next opponent, make sure we do everything right, next man up mentality. So, you can't necessarily go there with it as far as saying Vrabel is the total cause of this because you still got players still got to play.
Vrabel hasn't fumbled 5 times in the last 4 games. Today's game
bring that up.
is it has a lot to do with the turnovers.
Yeah.
You turned the football over 3 times in the second half behind a makeshift offensive line that is completely different from the offensive line that you started the season with.
Yeah.
And look, you just couldn't afford that. You could not afford a fumble from Derrick Henry at the point of this game where you had it. You couldn't have Malik Willis throwing the football to Christian Harris, the Houston linebacker, threw it right to him, hit him right between the numbers.
Yeah.
Too many mistakes for a team that is banged up, that doesn't have its guys, and it's not an excuse. It's the fact of the matter of where the Titans are right now.
Yeah.
Someone will be held accountable for it, but ultimately the turnovers were the difference today, and when the Titans lose at home, it's because of turnovers pretty much every single time.
And you know what? Both of those incidents that you mentioned the second half, for whatever reason, they just go stagnant in the second half right now. No, I think it was shared that they were the last in league in point differential in the second half in the National Football League. I don't know when they've ever led the league or been the worst in the league in that statistic ever. That's saying something. We usually have been so strong in the second half under Vrabel's tenure. This year, that's been one of the biggest Achilles heels, is not being able to produce in the second half.
615-737-1045, the number tonight on Titans Talkback. We got a Jeff in Dallas, Texas, who is up next with us on the phone lines. Hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys? How's it going?
Good.
Awesome, man. So I was just calling in regards to the drive where at the end of the game where Malik Willis threw the interception. The Titans are running the ball well, right? On the play where he did throw the interception, he was looking at Burks. Henry's in the back. And at the end of the day, you have to run a play action because the linebackers didn't bite on that whatsoever. I've watched that play like 30 times now. And the linebacker just sat back in that zone and picked it, right? You had Woods off to the right. The corner was sitting way back on him. Obviously, we have a rookie quarterback and stuff, but at least give it to Woods and let him get a few yards. But why not keep running? We have 3 timeouts left and keep the momentum. What says that Derrick Henry might not break one?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jeff.
Well, in that situation, man, time is of the essence. At some point, you're going to have to put the ball in the air. They had already stolen time with the 2 runs prior to that. So, with that being said, at some point, you got to put the ball in the hands of your quarterback and tell him to go make a play. Now, the interception, it was a double slant, and, that's usually bang, bang, snap, step, let it go. He snapped, pump. It was bump coverage. He's waiting, letting his guy work. At that point, the number 2 defender got right into that hook, man, and just stole the slant from him. So it's one of those things when you're in a double slant, you got to plant that foot, let it go as soon as you get it. But again, lesson learned for him. Hopefully, that's something he can now build upon looking at film, and hopefully he gets better because at this point he's the man, right?
Sure is. And I don't think Joshua Dobbs-led offense would have been any better in this game.
No, not right
with
now.
3 days with the playbook.
That Baker Mayfield luck is not going to happen.
No, that is the exception and not the rule. That is for sure.
Right.
When it comes to the quarterback position. 615-737-1045, the number. D'Angelo is in Nashville, up next with us on the phone lines. Hey, D'Angelo.
How y'all doing?
Great.
Good. How you doing, man?
I guess I'm good.
I feel that.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm not just trying to blame it on. I know our situation. We got people hurt, but I don't understand the play calling and also the refs calling. I mean, I don't know if the refs don't want us to win, and I know we got some messed up play calling, but at the same time, man, I don't understand the ref calling.
Yeah, thanks, D'Angelo. I mean, the refs didn't fumble the football in the fourth quarter and throw an interception.
Right.
Referees had nothing to do with the outcome of this game.
Yeah, I think people have been they're thinking about that last play that seemed looked like a pass interference. We've seen that in the last few weeks, kind of a lot of contact and the officials allowing it when seemingly in other circumstances, they're calling that almost every time it's a passing league. So I think that's where fans coming through. That's just that hope and wish factor that we have, right? Because at that point, that was just a hope and a wish and a prayer. Like, you hope it's going to work out. And definitely would have helped if you got the PI, because now we're sitting at real tight, and now you got to playbook at your disposal, but you're not gonna get that call at that point in the game.
So you thought that there was no reason to have a flag there. You thought that was the right call.
No,
in that moment.
No, I feel like it was a PI.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm just saying that's the same thing I thought against the Giants and the Commanders. I think a few weeks ago, I felt like it was a PI from the contact and the things before the ball, that sort of thing. So, but they're getting to the point, especially late in these games, we're not seeing that being called as much. They're letting the contact go. It's
kind of like when you've got a potential game-winning shot in a basketball game, and referees let a lot more contact go at the buzzer.
Yep.
Whether or not you believe that would be called a penalty earlier on in the game is a separate discussion. Yeah. But in that moment, ref's never going to make that call. They didn't
make that call. That's a good analogy.
Sure. 615-737-1045. Nate is in Nashville. Up next with us here on Titans Talkback. Hey, Nate.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Good.
Hey, Kevin, you doing all right? Hey, I just wanted to call in and kind of touch, a couple weeks ago we were at home against Jacksonville, and, Dyson had mentioned, our fans are leaving at the second, before the second half even started, we always blame, we're pushing this pressure on, it's Malik's fault, it's Derek's because he fumbled the ball there at the last 10 minutes or whatever. But, man, what is we going to start realizing as a fan base that we don't actually come to core as together. We don't come down there and cheer on our team. We leave them hanging halfway through the game. This is for Kevin Byard and Jeffrey Simmons and Tannehill and all them boys that put their hearts out there on the line for us every Sunday, and we're bashing them because they got beat by 5 points, 2 points, or whatever. But we're leaving halfway between the times because we're not helping our defense out there cheering them on, That's my biggest thing. And I call in every other week when whether it be on the road from last week in Los Angeles or wherever it's at. But at home, that's our home field advantage. It's supposed to be the 12th man. We're supposed to be loud and proud and being there for the defense, but we ain't seen none of that in the last, 3 or 4 weeks at home. Oh, we're down 7. Let's go ahead and walk out and leave the stadium early. That has to stop between us. Us as fans have to stop leaving these damn games early, man. We have to stay there to cheer on our team. We have to be there in the fourth quarter when we're down by 4 points. That's my, thing, Kevin. I mean, I'm just mad at our fan base. I'm not mad at our boys. They go out there and put out their hearts, man. Our fan base, all they do is sit there and they leave out early, this and that. Oh, you've been a PSL holder for 15 years. Well, where you at today? You at home watching, sipping coffee. You ain't nothing then.
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, shout out to the fans that did show up.
I thought Nissan Stadium was actually a lot more full than I thought it was going to be.
Exactly.
Today.
Me
and
too.
I said that after the Bengals lost, too.
Yeah. I mean, considering the weather and everything else, Christmas Eve.
Fans had nothing to do with this loss either. You lost on the field because you turned the football over 3 times in the second half.
In the second half.
That's it.
615-737-1045.
The number. Chase calls in, leaving Nissan Stadium here in Nashville today. What's going on, Chase?
Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to talk about what the last caller said. I mean, if we don't win against Jacksonville in the last week of the season and having a 98% chance to win the division a couple of weeks ago, it's like, where does this franchise go from there? I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars coming back and winning the division would be the greatest comeback in NFL history, and it does a lot for their franchise. But what does it say for this franchise? And I agree with the last caller. I mean, I wasn't impressed with the way the fans showed up tonight, and a lot of skepticism, a lot of negativity has been on these calls for the last couple of weeks, and the media has not really shut it down. And it's just kind of the message that we continue to hear is it's Todd Downing being fired. It's so and so needs to change, and it's Malik Willis's fault. But I mean, there's no excuse for going 0-5 in the last 5. If we would have won 2 of those games, then right now we would have clinched the division and been sitting here thinking, home playoff game. And I'm nervous. If we do win the division, what's going to happen with the home playoff game? Is it going to look like it did today, where there's really not any type of home field advantage? I mean, there's a lot of questions about this franchise moving forward, and we're in a rough place right now. And I'm the most optimistic fan there is, but right now, I'm questioning a lot of stuff, and we need to control what happens in the future. I just want to talk about. I mean, everybody needs to look themselves in the mirror right now.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Chase. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their axe to bear, and I appreciate the last two callers, man, and being optimistic and positive, because that's ultimately being in locker room similar to this. You know, you want to win so bad. Your whole thing is band together, right? They're going to have to band together and get over this hump, and they got to get a win some kind of way. And the 29th, I mean, as we're watching it right now, that's a tall task. Now, we don't know what their plan is. It probably depends on the outcome of this game for them and where they land in the playoffs. They've already clinched a playoff berth. Now they're still fighting for the division as they play the Eagles right now. But so we don't know. But with that still, Titans going to have to scrap and get this win to make that pressure of that last week a little less taxing on them going forward.
Well, at this point, you are locked into the fact that Week 18 against Jacksonville is for the division.
Yeah.
So regardless of if you lose next week or if you win next week or Jacksonville wins or loses, either way, Week 18 is for the division.
Do you think Derrick Henry plays?
This week, upcoming week?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
I'm Malik, obviously. We have no choice.
Right.
Got to get the receivers going.
Yep. Offensive line, they're all already backups, so you're not going to bring in new backups just to start to rest guys that are already backups.
Right. Or do you go for broke against Jacksonville? Make sure.
It wouldn't surprise me if Derrick Henry sits Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think Jeffrey Simmons probably sits.
Yeah.
I think Danico Autry. Anyone who's been nursing an injury and playing through something, which, I mean, is already most of the team.
Yeah.
You're going to have some big decisions to make Thursday night, especially on defense. And on offense, you are already so down to the bare bones of your roster that you don't really have the luxury to sit a lot of those offensive guys. But it's really Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Is the guy that you might have to sit.
Just go all out for that Jacksonville game the following week.
615-737-1045. Kenny calling in from sunny Florida today. I'm pretty jealous of Kenny being in the warmer weather down in Port Canaveral where he's calling in. What's going on, Kenny?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, it's a little chilly here. Not as chilly as Nashville. It's been a pretty good day. But listen, guys, the short term, the problem is what are we going to do when we win the division? I'm just going to echo what the caller said before. I mean, we're not going to beat Jacksonville. We can't beat a one-win Houston team. At the end of the season, Mike Vrabel's going to have to look in the mirror, and he's got to make some changes. Look at the past coaches of this team. Jeff Fisher back in 2010 wouldn't fire Chuck Cecil, actually gave him $1 million bonus, ends up getting fired by Bud. You fast forward to Mike Munchak, wouldn't fire Dow Loggins. What happens? He gets fired at the end of the season. And then you get Mike Mularkey, same thing. So we have a revolving cycle of these coaches that will not make these decisions because they're loyal to these guys. But at some point, somebody has got to break this trend of saying, you know what, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I need to make a change. I hope this happens with Vrabel because I like Vrabel. I think he's an awesome coach, and I agree with you. He's not going anywhere. But he's got to make that change at the end of the season where Todd Downing has to go. We have Malik Willis, who has had 3 games in the NFL, 3 games, and the guy can't even break 100 yards passing, cannot throw a touchdown pass. I mean, that we can't scam anything for this kid, and I feel bad for him because we're getting him killed out there. Yes, the offensive line's hurt. I get it. But the offensive line wasn't up 4 points in the fourth quarter, and Derrick Henry fumbles the ball. 5 fumbles in 4 games for Derrick. I mean, you've got to scheme something from this kid. Get the ball out of his hands. Get down the field. Make chunk plays. And we can't even do that for him. So I'm frustrated as a Titans fan. I'm a season ticket holder. I just happen to be in vacation this year. I get what they're saying about the fans not showing up, and, I mean, I see it both ways. So, again, y'all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, but I just don't see us beating Jacksonville. Jacksonville's on fire right now, and, again, Merry Christmas, guys. Y'all have a happy holidays.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, it's definitely like this game. It's definitely a more difficult game at this juncture than you ever thought it would be. The way, especially how the beginning of the season started. But one thing I want to address was, Vrabel and his decision making in dialogue games. We've had some other decisions.
Terry Rubisky with Mike Mularkey was the most recent example.
And there's levels of loyalty, obviously, and there's a level of trust there too. You know what I mean? And so it makes it hard to make that decision. But to the caller's point is that's why you're in that seat. That's why you're making that check, is to make those decisions. From a fan's perspective, there needs to be some hard decisions made. Now, they probably in discussions, there's probably a lot of talks going on that's behind the scenes that we're weeks away from really determining. But I can understand why it seems like he's just sitting on it right now.
Mike Vrabel deserves some of the blame for this 5-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he's the one that puts the staff together. Ultimately, I believe he's the one that will make staff changes this offseason going into next year. But when you lose 5 games in a row, it can't just be an indictment on one person or one element of the game. It is everybody.
Everybody. Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to sit here and just say, oh, this is a John Robinson issue just because he's gone. John Robinson's personnel decisions have contributed to where the Titans are right now. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, your bell cow running back had another fumble in a really bad moment.
Yeah.
Your young quarterback, who you want to groom to be the guy, ultimately didn't make enough plays in the second half. And when you lose this many in a row, it's not just one of those elements. It's not just Todd Downing in the offensive play calling. It's not just Shane Bowen or Mike Vrabel. This entire organization has lost 5 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to figure out a way to get ready for Week 18 and win the AFC South. And maybe that's with Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Ian Rappaport of NFL.com had the report this morning that he went down and reportedly had surgery earlier this week and is hopeful to maybe be available for Week 18.
Oof.
So you've got to put yourself in the position to get Ryan Tannehill maybe back, because I agree that I have a hard time seeing Malik Willis going to Jacksonville and beating Trevor Lawrence the way that guy's playing right now.
Yeah, that's just a different level right now. Just on the confidence of what the offense is in his hands, let alone skill. But that right there, man, if you can get Tannehill, this goes back to when Derrick Henry came back towards that end. Do you rush it? I feel like you got to, based on the sample size we have in the 3 starts and things. You're saying if he's let's say 75%, that's
I mean, we asked the question last week: is a 50% Ryan Tannehill better than 100% Malik Willis? I think today we overwhelmingly saw that a 50% Ryan Tannehill is the Titans' best option for victory right now.
Let me give the but to that.
Sure,
but as much as Malik was sacked today, of recovering ankle surgery from Tannehill, still, but the offensive line has to be fixed. He's
going to go down again.
Right.
I mean, the way the offensive line has been playing the past couple of weeks and the whole season.
That's why. I mean, I get it, because I agree you need him. But if I'm thinking longevity,
sure,
it'd be hard for me to, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't know if I could pull that trigger on a guy fresh off of surgery. Now, if he comes out and he proves like what T.O. did and his ankle is good to go, whatever T.O. went through right for the Super Bowl run, then by all means. But based on the most recent performance on the offensive line, that's a hard one for me.
It is hard. It is definitely hard to see this offense having much more success with those guys on the offensive line. And Dennis Daly struggling again with the 2 sacks allowed in the first half, the second of which was about as bad as I've seen.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say. So
on third down, didn't touch the guy.
I mean, just a whiff.
I mean, I think you know me well enough to know I have a hard time singling out one player and being that negative on one player. But how could you not at this point?
It's almost like one a game he gets
yes.
I don't know if he guesses wrong, or gets hit low enough. I don't know. It's almost one a game where he just completely misses. They dip that shoulder on him just one time and
Crazy. 615-737-1045, the number. Eric is in Nashville, up next on the phone lines with us this afternoon. Hey, Eric.
First of all, guys, Merry Christmas. Big shout-out to Kenny the mailman. I know he's out delivering mail on this day. Hopefully he stays safe and everything, guys. But, guys, let me say this, a couple of things. First of all, I understand to a point with the fans, but let me say this. I was at the game. I just got home about 10, 15 minutes ago. I stayed until the Malik Willis interception. That's when I left. And the crowd that was there was trying to give the Titans team support as all as it could. It was yelling at everything. But it's frustrating, guys. Like you said, you mentioned the turnovers. and the offensive line issues, but other things that killed us too. The fact is, we had a Derrick Henry huge run. I think it was about 10 to 12 yard run, whatever it was, called back because of a holding penalty. We had a Malik Willis pass that I think was about a 12, 13 yard pass called back because of a penalty. You know, you're not going to win when you have stuff like that happen. It seems like every time we make a big play, we have an inopportune penalty that hurts us. We don't get the key stops when we need them. Like the defense in the second half was playing great, had several 3-and-outs, but then we were killed by 12, 11-yard plays. And the big, of course, turning point of the game was the Derrick Henry fumble, which when we was up 14-10, because had we not got another score, we could have put the game away, and we just can't seem to make the closeout plays that we need. It wound up, Jacksonville going down, not Jacksonville, Houston going down, getting a field goal. And then after that, I think we had a 3-and-out. And then, of course, later on in the game, they get the big touchdown play with a couple of you got to give them credit, some great catches. And we got the touchdown. Houston got the touchdown, and that pretty much was it. We just, again, when we need the key plays, we can't get them, and we need to make key stops. We can't do it. And that's just the second half breakdowns. And, again, that's what got us again. And then that continues to happen. That's what's going to continue to happen, guys. So, and I agree with what you said earlier. Mike Vrabel ain't going anywhere. Who was calling saying that he should be fired? I'm not going to go there. He's a great coach, guys. But we see what's happened the next few weeks. Also, by the way, Philadelphia leads Dallas 20-17 at halftime. They just went to the half, and the Eagles kicked the field goal. So, guys, Merry Christmas to y'all. Everybody, y'all take care, tighten up, and we'll talk again soon. And I'm going to be there Thursday.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate the call.
I appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, it's the penalties remain a really big issue for that line too.
Yeah,
it's not just the sacks; it's the holding calls. It's having to shuffle another guy in at right tackle, LaRaven Clark, who comes in for the rookie Nicholas Petit-Frere, who is out battling an ankle injury coming into this game. Yeah, you got a lot of obstacles mounting against an offensive line that is already really banged up.
Yeah, man.
When you do that,
there's still the stacks against him, man. It's just. And that's why I go back to the whole Tannehill thing of do you put him back out there? And you just gave me another a data point to say, nah, I'm not putting him back out there unless he just shows me something that's completely drastic from a health perspective. I couldn't put him out there with this offensive line.
615-737-1045 is our number on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. More of your phone calls on the other side. Ethan and Jeff will lead us off after the break on Titans Talkback 1045 The Zone. 615-737-1045, our number on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. With Kevin Dyson, I'm Will Boling. Brett Batchelor making the show happen as the Houston Texans beat the Tennessee Titans 19-14, handing the Titans their 5th consecutive loss and setting up a win-and-in scenario once again in Week 18 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ethan is in Nashville. Up next on the phone lines at 615-737-1045. Hey, Ethan.
Hey, guys. Hey, Will. Hey, Kevin.
Quick
question for you guys. Pretty good. Just got back from the game, actually. So, obviously, like you just mentioned, we've been on a 5-game win or loss streak right now, and it's a little shocking considering how we were able to turn back 2 losses at the beginning of the season to what we're, kind of facing with now. I guess my question is, as a fan myself and as a lot of other fans who may not be totally in the scene of what's going on, where should we kind of aim our direction moving forward? Is it the coaching staff? Is it the management that we should be putting our focus towards right now for what's going on? Or is it the players? Is it the injuries? It's a little combination of both. It's been very difficult as a Titans fan like myself to kind of understand, what's going on, what's happening, considering we were on a 6 or 7 game win streak. I'm kind of just curious of what your guys' thoughts are on that. Me as well as a lot of people are wondering, does management need to get their big butts up and do something about this, or is it just a problem that's a combination between everyone? Or I guess I kind of want to know what your guys' take on this is. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, thanks, Ethan. Merry Christmas.
I think we've been saying it. I think it's a combination of everything, everybody. At this point, everybody's being evaluated. When you go from, like you mentioned, 98% guaranteed almost to the playoffs to now we're outside looking in, I think everything's up for debate. I think we're saying Vrabel's not going anywhere. Now, he has probably some hard decisions to make for his staff, his overall plan going forward. He has some hard decisions to make, I feel like, as a head coach. But ultimately, they also got to make a tough decision who's going to be his partner in crime as far as general manager. So there's a lot of decisions to be made after the season ends. I'm just saying, for me, as a player, former player, or anybody else and as a fan, I want my team in the playoffs, whether they're limping in or not, because there's only so many spots in the league that you get in the playoffs. And once you get in the tournament, things could be different. Now, will they go and make a Super Bowl run? Well, it's not looking likely at this point, but right. I still want them in there to have a chance at it, though.
I think at this point where you go next is you find the general manager that's going to address your weaknesses the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what that means, really more than anything, Kevin Dyson, is find the general manager that moves you into a much more modern style of football. Because Derrick Henry has allowed you to play a lot more old-fashioned and to be more of a 20th century versus 21st century style of football team and style of victory. I think you've got to address your own weaknesses. This organization has to be able to look itself in the mirror and realize what it hasn't done well enough under John Robinson and Mike Vrabel and admit fault and move forward. And where specifically I think is growing and developing more of an analytics staff. Yeah. Having a more forward-thinking, younger, offensive-minded, you don't really have offensive or defensive-minded general managers, but we keep going back to this, and we've talked about it ever since John Robinson was let go. Finding the general manager that is a complement to Mike Vrabel, that has a different background, has a little bit of a different skill set to Mike Vrabel, instead of someone in John Robinson who you've really felt like came from the same kind of background, wanted to play the same style of football as Mike Vrabel. Now, those two guys have got to be in lockstep and have to be in communication and talk with one another, but how much influence are you willing to give Mike Vrabel at this point? I think you need somebody to come in here and be willing to be brutally honest with you and tell you every single thing that you've done wrong over the past 2-3 seasons, ever since the 2019 playoff run, and really address things that this organization is not doing right now. And I think that starts with moving this offense into much more of a 21st century NFL scheme.
What's interesting is last year at this time when they set the NFL record for personnel moves and got the number 1 seed and was winning football games, how people were praising Vrabel and the administration for being able to hold things together, find ways to win football games, obviously getting the home field advantage, all those things. what difference a year makes when you lose those games.
It's incredible.
Now we're talking he's got to make these moves. Got to get a GM. We're talking all these different things where just a year ago the magic seemed to work, even with Derrick Henry not playing the latter part of that year. And they still found ways to win football games. So it begs the question, did it finally catch up to you? And it obviously has, because not having the depth on the offensive line, the quality of depth has really hurt. Not having the receivers and a full gamut of receivers all season long from injuries, this and that obviously hurt. It's just been one of those seasons where we're going to look back on and compare, me personally, compare last year to this year and say not much different except for they overcame the adversity last year than they didn't this year. I just hope they get to the playoffs, and that would make a tumultuous year a little bit better, just being able to say we made it to the playoffs.
615-737-1045, the number. Jeff in Cookeville is up next with us here this afternoon on Titans Talkback. Hey, Jeff.
Yo, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, man.
I'm on my way back from the game here. I'm almost back to Cookeville now, but I wasn't going to chime in on this call, but after listening to a few of these callers, and I guess I'm the third Jeff here tonight.
Yeah.
But listening to some of these callers, man, and I'm just getting real upset with some of these fans. I'm hearing the fire Mike Vrabel, cut Malik Willis. We've heard talks about the Tannehill, get rid of him. He ain't doing anything. There was a guy sitting next to me in the section today at the game saying, where's all these guys with the Malik Willis jerseys on tonight, blah, blah, blah. These fans right here, I drove an hour away to sit my butt in 12-degree weather cheering my butt off for these Titans players. I'm a true fan. I bleed blue. I'm a two-tone blue fan. And I'm sitting here listening to other people out here they're representing Tennessee, but just dogging us. Like, if that's the way you feel, throw your butt an A.J. Brown jersey on, take your butt up to Philly, and that's where you belong. I feel like that if you're not going to represent Tennessee, and you don't need to be here. I'm sick and tired of hearing all these fans say this. We don't need to cut Vrabel. Look what Vrabel's done. We've had more injuries in the NFL than any other team in the last 2 seasons. Look what Vrabel's done. Now, we got rid of John Robinson, and he tried to make something happen. Maybe he didn't make the best decisions, but don't blame the rest of the teams. Name one NFL rookie quarterback that has come to the league and just balled out. Patrick Mahomes rode the bench. Herbert, Allen, they weren't great players. Jalen Hurts, number 1 in NFL this year, MVP candidate. He wasn't a great, rookie player. Peyton Manning, of all people. I mean, he threw more interceptions and touchdowns his rookie year. People, we got to give Malik Willis a little bit of credit. He's building. He's learning. You're going to come to the NFL. You can't just take off like everybody expects. Yes, we've had injuries. Yes, we're looking like we're about to be in the doghouse. But, guys, this is football. This is what happens. Keep believing. Keep bringing your hope. Keep coming to the stadium. Quit giving up and root for your team if you're a true believer. I'll be there Thursday, Section 339. Come see your boy, J-Lo, a.k.a. Jeff Cookeville. Yo. I'm out.
Wow.
Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it, bro.
The answer, by the way, to the rookie quarterback that's done well this year, honestly, is Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. But
yeah,
I mean, that's all Titans fans really – that's what they're expecting right now, because Mr. Irrelevant is balling out in the West Coast. And then you look at the weapon differences and, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Yeah, a little bit of a difference. But anyway.
Brings your argument into the debate.
A little different.
Get a little more offensive-minded.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you make life a lot easier on your rookie quarterback when you've got a full array of weapons.
Yeah.
Titans don't have that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the call, because there's a level of what we're hearing from a lot of fans here is they're rallying the troops too, just as much as the players are trying to. The fans are really feeling this 5-game slide, just like probably the players are feeling it. We're all feeling this, man. We're all hurting and want that victory, man. Just get over the hump and just relieve that tension a little bit, man. So, man, I hear you, fans. I mean, I hear you. It's just it gets like this sometimes. It's hard, man. You ever watch like a baseball player get in a slump and you just, no matter how hard you try, you just can't get out of it. Because you look at it statistically, again, right? Statistically, aside from the turnovers, it is what it is. It's a one possession game, and then it comes down to making one more play than your opponent, and exactly what they did. You can call the PI at the end one play. You can call the punt inside the 5 when you needed it. That was a big play. The interception, those are big plays. They just seem to make one more play than the Titans today and ultimately lose by one possession.
Let's take one more call before we take another break here on Titans Talkback, and we will be around until 6:30 here tonight to take your phone calls and continue to react to this loss to the Houston Texans. We got a Beat in Hermitage up next. What's going on, Beat?
Hello?
How you doing, man?
Hey, I just want to wish you guys a very Merry Christmas to you guys.
Merry Christmas, bro.
Thanks.
To all your families, it really is a really disappointing loss to us. And we all know we needed it, just all based on the quarterbacks. If it's Josh, even if we put Josh Dobbs in there or Malik Willis in there, it don't matter. I mean, we just didn't perform correctly. I just want to hear y'all feedback about how come maybe y'all would have kind of if the Titans would have maybe hollered at Marcus Mariota or anybody that's out in the free agency besides Josh Dobbs. And I want to wish my wife Cheryl Alvarado and my brother Paul Alvarado, my family from Clarksville, happy Christmas and Happy New Year's.
Yeah, appreciate the call. Marcus Mariota's not a free agent right now. Even if he was, that ship has sailed long ago. It is interesting, though, Kevin, that we're watching Gardner Minshew throw a touchdown right now for the Eagles and go up 27-17 on Dallas. Is there a case to be made that the Titans should have gone to try to get an available quarterback with more experience this offseason as a contingency plan if Ryan Tannehill was hurt? Because the Titans have rode with Logan Woodside for quite some time.
I was going to say you had that.
As a backup quarterback, but meaning a guy that has started before that could come in and help back up your quarterback and help be another voice to mentor and be in the same room as Malik. Because right now we're watching a quarterback, Malik Willis, that may still be able to be a successful starting quarterback in this league, but is going to at least need another entire season before he is ready to be close to being the guy for somebody.
Yeah. And I think one caller mentioned in their call talking about various quarterbacks who it took them a minute to develop. You just don't come in and just automatically have that instant success, especially at quarterback in the National Football League. That's why there's a maturation process, a process in which that you get from experience. And I think Malik is not quite there, but I think there's a lot of tangibles that he has that I think fits today's game. He's got to get more accurate. He's got to be able to have a sense of the pocket a little bit better, things of that nature. Now, again, we're saying this, and we don't know the conversations they're having with him. It may be a situation where it's, hey, don't lose it for us, as opposed to taking risks, just dump it off, not giving guys shot downfield, things of that nature. We don't know. We're not privy to those conversations, but I think to your point, Will, of he's a few years away. Do we go get a veteran? The only thing about that is, and Blaine used to always say this, he is available for a reason.
Right.
So is he going to be a better option? To me, it depends on who. I'm trying to think like remember Chris Sims came?
Right.
He had moments.
All the McCowns were always available.
Yeah, you remember those? And it's hit or miss,
Blaine Gabbert. Kind of guy that's available. Yeah, you're looking at that kind of quarterback as opposed to Logan Woodside and Malik Willis, who have been on this team.
Those have been hit or miss, right?
Right.
We wouldn't say all those were complete successes.
Right. And Josh Dobbs now brought in to basically be an athletic third option behind Malik Willis, because if you're catering the offense to Malik and his legs, you got to then have another quarterback who has the legs to run that same scheme.
And he does have a little bit of experience in this league. He's been around long enough that in studying, and he's been a backup at nights, played some. So I think there's I can understand the conversation of
Sure.
why put him in there. But you've invested in Malik. Obviously, the draft capital won. The time you say he beat out Woodside in the battle in the summer, and so I would assume that's the guy you're going with. Dobbs is there, like you said, in case of.
615-737-1045, our number on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems, and they can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. We'll get to Chuck and Justin first up on the other side after this as we continue to recap the Houston Texans' 19-14 win over the Tennessee Titans. Titans Talkback is presented by Lee Company. All you need online at leecompany.com. 615-737-1045, the number. With Kevin Dyson, I am Will Boling. Brett Batchelor, our producer, taking your phone calls and taking your reaction to a 19-14 loss for the Titans to the Houston Texans. We go back to the phones. Justin calls in from I-40 with us this afternoon. What's going on, Justin?
Not much. Merry Christmas, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Almost back home here from the game. Almost back to Cookville. I heard Jeff give you a big pep talk earlier, so
that's right.
I won't do that. But I got a couple things. One, I keep hearing everybody say, look what Mike Vrabel's done. Look what Mike Vrabel's done, and Mike Vrabel's definitely coming back. And honestly, I'm not buying it, guys. I look at it and I'm like, what has Mike Vrabel done? Mike Vrabel's won 2 playoff games since he's been here. We had the 1 seed last year and squandered it away. And it's frustrating because I feel like every Titans fan thinks that Mike Vrabel's untouchable, and I don't understand the kind of the love that he gets. We are rolling out an archaic offense to where we run the ball into 8 and 9-man boxes and try to run play action. Then when we should run the ball on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, we try to get cute. I don't get that. And then defensively, guys, I know we're pretty good on defense, but then we play man coverage. We send 4 when we rush the passer, and why not try something different? And here's what I mean by that: if Vrabel's untouchable, I'm not so sure that Vrabel and this staff is the staff that I want trying to develop Malik Willis, or for that matter, if he's afraid to make changes, the Dennis Daly situation. Dylan Radunz played 15 snaps at left tackle last week and played really well, and it took a whole season for us to make any sort of change. I'll be a Titans fan through and through, but I've about had enough of Vrabel. If you're the smartest guy in the room, you're going to act like the smartest guy in the room, then you better stand up and be it. I'll hang up and listen. Merry Christmas, guys.
Thanks, Justin. All right, here's how we'll break this down of why Mike Vrabel is untouchable. He used 91 players last year and was the number 1 seed in the AFC.
There you go.
NFL record.
Yep.
Talking about why did Dylan Radunz not play sooner at left tackle and that he played well last week. 10 snaps is not a big enough sample size to say that he should have been starting the entire year. Go back to the preseason and show me the whiffs that Dylan Radunz had in the preseason when he had a chance to prove himself and didn't. And that is why he was not playing left tackle all year. Sure, Mike Vrabel sometimes doesn't do himself any favors with his stubbornness and with being very direct and blunt to media in press conferences. We've heard the line, got to play better, got to coach better, right? That overall is not an indictment on him as a coach, though. That's just always the way that guy's going to communicate. So I don't think you can lump that into reasoning why he doesn't need to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Mike Vrabel is going to be the head coach of the Titans moving forward into next season and through next season.
Yeah, I don't think either of us is giving him a pass.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think we're saying that he's without blame or anything on this conversation. We're just saying he's going to be given the benefit of the doubt for the next year or so. We get a new GM, probably make some staff changes, personnel changes, and things, and get an opportunity to make a run. I don't think we're going to see a change at the head coach. So we can go ahead and nip that conversation in the bud.
I mean, it's like the situation Pittsburgh is in right now, right? They're sub 500. You think they want to fire Mike Tomlin up there?
And obviously, and Tomlin's been in that situation numerous times.
And he's got some rings, and he's obviously this we're comparing apples and oranges, but it's not like college football where you get to control all of your personnel and every single thing that goes into your team's operation. You get to control what happens on the field and in that coaching staff. And have there been issues that Mike Vrabel needs to be held accountable for on the coaching staff and not making necessary changes that should have been made this past offseason? Absolutely there are.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is a team that, again, is near the top of the NFL, and players used this season that had a very small margin for error coming into the season that has evaporated weeks ago with the injuries that they've had again.
Yeah.
That's where they're at.
Yep. And I think the other argument the fans have, their part in this is they're watching the free agents and the personnels they have left here and the success that they're having, whether it be offensive line or receiver. Probably the two biggest needs you feel like going into the offseason.
All teams that have money to make those moves because they're not paying the highest cap hit to a quarterback in the NFL this year that the Titans are paying. I mean, Ryan Tannehill's $36 million against the cap this season. Not a lot of flexibility.
That's a big number.
When you pay a quarterback that much and a running back a lot of money as well.
Again, that goes back to a point. If he's back week 18 with that number, you still think you're going to put him in?
Could save about $23, $25-ish million without Ryan Tannehill next season. Conversation for another time. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Mike in Clarksville is up next with us on the phone lines tonight. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing today?
Great.
Hey, how you, man?
Doing good. On the way home from the game, man. Definitely, Vrabel is not going anywhere. I mean, he's had winning seasons. This is the first one where it's just everything has finally caught up to him. As far as draft picks, you know, when you're missing on draft picks every year, this is what happens. So eventually he was going to catch us, and it has caught us. No depth at no positions. And there's not pretty much you can do about that. I mean, yes, we got to come into the 21st century. Malik, a rookie quarterback with no weapons, nothing, no offensive line. All you pretty much got Derrick Henry, emerging Burks. But, I mean, there's just no weapons. There's nothing for him to do. You got an offensive coordinator who, and it's like I was in the tunnel fan thing today, and that was the only coach who ran out with his head down and nothing to say to nobody. And I was like, wow, he's out of here. And just to see, the owner of the team in high spirits, I'm like, okay, there's a change coming, obviously. I mean, we've been winning couple of seasons, last 3 or 4 since Tannehill got here, I believe. I mean, just sink with the ship, sink or swim. The fans showed up today. It was brutally cold. I would tell you, I got up and left when he threw the interception too. But overall, I enjoyed the game. But I mean, like I said, you missed on draft picks. Everybody else is not missing. Jacksonville is here. So what do we do from here on out? Now we're going to be trying to catch Jacksonville, and I'll let y'all answer that.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike.
Yeah.
Jacksonville appears to be the class of the AFC South moving forward.
They got hot at the right time.
They did.
Defense is playing well, and then the quarterback start hitting it on all cylinders and making guys around him better. Etienne is a good back, and they don't even use him hardly, it seems like. But when they do,
right,
he's a big play. So they're a tough team, man. It's definitely not the one you want to have to win to get in at this point.
And they spent about $175 million this offseason because they've got a quarterback on a rookie deal that they can afford to spend all around.
Wow.
And that's when Super Bowl windows are the most open in the NFL. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati.
I was about to say,
look at what they just did and what they are doing. Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Win a Super Bowl on a rookie quarterback contract. I mean, that is the best way to build and build quickly is you have kind of the redshirt freshman year for your quarterback, and then you buy him all the weapons and toys, and Santa Claus brings everything that he needs for the next season, and then you go make a run. And that's what Jacksonville's done, and I don't think Jacksonville's going anywhere.
Yeah. No, when you got a guy like Andrew Luck who had dominance over the division for a long period of time, potentially having that in Jacksonville, where he could be the class of the division for a very, very long time.
615-737-1045, the number. Brandon is in Fairview, up next with us today on Titans Talkback. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, I just want to talk about how we have one of the best running backs in the league, but we have no weapons around him, so he can't really be used, and how I think if we had some more weapons, I think we'd be a really good team. And something else I want to talk about is, y'all remember the last team that won 5 in a row and lost 5 in a row that made it to the playoffs? Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate the call. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't imagine there's very many.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we've had teams that, even last year with the Bengals, we've had teams that you seemingly thought they were out of it, and then they get hot at the right time. That's why I said sometimes you just got to get in a tournament, you get hot at the right time. Cincinnati and Jacksonville, if they get in, they seem to be trending that way. I don't think that's a team anybody really wants to face right now. And the Titans have to in 2 weeks. And as far as weapons around them, I think it goes what we've been talking about from a personnel standpoint. You just got to look for weapons to complement some of your other pieces, definitely to address the offensive line, the depth and the quality there. That's what's going on right now. And then there's a decision, it sounds like, at quarterback, you think, huh?
Yeah.
Potentially. If 36 to potentially high teens as far as a cap hit.
$18 million cap hit if you let him go.
If you let him go.
But you're saving about $18 million. And the math on that, you're essentially saving about $20 million if you move on from Ryan Tannehill at the end of this season. And then you're talking about a situation where, hey, well, maybe we can let Malik Willis have a year to prove whether or not he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, things trend in a poor direction, and you've got a high draft pick to go get a guy in 2024 for that season. And best case scenario, hey, you surround Malik Willis with weapons and see what happens.
So based on that, I think there's a lot of people probably share that same sentiment as you. Do you think their potential window of opportunity to make a run is on the backside of this now?
I think it's over.
I think it's over. So
I think it's close.
Not necessarily start all the way over, but you're saying kind of start it over.
I think last year was the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really do. I mean, without those interceptions, and you're going to the AFC Championship game, and you're going to host it in Nashville without a couple of interceptions. But that's the cards. Those are the cards you were dealt.
And I forget what fan it was that called and said, that brings the question now, is Vrabel part of that equation? If you're thinking the run is over, do you think he's the person?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you necessarily asking this to you specifically now, but do you think fans or whoever listening, if that is a case of being on the other side of the making a run window, starting over at the top, meaning head coach, another thing to consider too?
I think we can certainly say that Amy Adams-Strunk has not shown any hesitation to make bold moves in order to win a Super Bowl.
I respect that. That's for sure.
I think we know that for sure, that if Amy Adams-Strunk thinks that Mike Vrabel is not the guy in 2024 and beyond with a new general manager who might want to have his own fingerprints more heavily made on this franchise, that that's the direction they'll go.
Yeah.
I think Mike Vrabel is here for the long haul, but ultimately things, we're really going down the road now, but things go in a really negative direction next year. And I mean, pretty much everything's on the table at that point.
Everything on the table at that point. But again, it's some the caller said about loyalty too. She's also part of her first regime and hire and things like that too, right? She's invested enough to want him to be successful as well. So she's going to do whatever it takes for that to happen and trusting him. How much will it be on the other side, like that caller's point of having coaches here being loyal to different coordinators or different coaches because of a friendship? Is this one of those situations you feel like she would be able to separate that for business?
You are going to need to see some big changes on this staff going into next season.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to.
Yeah.
I mean, the way Mike Vrabel puts himself most in jeopardy long-term as the head coach of the Tennessee Titans is by not making the changes needed on his staff on both sides of the football.
And then expecting a different result.
And just expecting something different to happen. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we're far off from that being reality, but it is worth discussing at this point that, no, not in the short term. Mike Vrabel's the head coach of this team next season and moving forward. Yeah. But the only way that things start to trend negatively for him is, if we're still talking about Todd Downing play calls this time next season.
What's the over-under on staff going? 2, 3, under 2?
I would say I would put the number at 2.5.
About 2.5?
Yep.
I think that's a respectful number.
Yeah.
Because we probably both have some ideas who that may be.
Yep. I think so. Well, tonight on defense, the Titans get Danico Autry back, and it is time for our Kroger Sacks for Cash. And today the Titans add another sack, just the one today from Danico Autry in his return to the lineup. First time that he has been back since the win over Green Bay. For the season, Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee now stands at $4,400, courtesy of the one sack from Danico Autry today. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan. Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. 615-737-1045, our number. We'll get to BA in Nashville up next on the phone lines when we come back. Here with you for about 45 more minutes on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company on 1045 The Zone. Titans Talkback is presented by Elite Company. Facility managers need a reliable partner for their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical needs. They trust Elite Company's 24/7 service and their team of experts. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. 615-737-1045, our number for another 45 minutes here on Titans Talkback with Kevin Dyson. I'm Will Boling. And back to the phones we go, where B.A. in Nashville leads us off next. What's going on, B.A.?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good. How you, man?
All right. First time caller. Love the show.
Appreciate it.
Big Titans fan. But you know something, man? Going into this game, I don't know what people were expecting because I didn't really expect a whole lot. Would you guys say this is a true saying? A quarterback is only good as those around him.
Yeah.
In other words, like my car stopped running. I put a battery in there. It started, but it wouldn't run that well. So I had to keep on adding things on it to make it run effectively, the way I wanted it to. I think that they're putting a lot of pressure on this Malik Willis kid. He's a rookie. But let me ask you something else. And on top of that, I heard the announcer during the game saying, I think Malik was sacked, and he said the wide receivers were all covered. They showed a stat during the Philadelphia game where A.J. Brown had more catches than all of our wide receivers combined.
Yeah.
In the last 5 games, how many catches and yards have our wide receivers gotten? And secondly, does these teams fear these wide receivers that we have? Because when Henry's in, they load the box. When he's not in, the wide receivers are covered. So it's almost like they figured us out. So I don't know what they're expecting. I don't care if it was Tom Brady in there. You're only as good as those around you. And Dyson being a former wide receiver, if you didn't get open, man, what do you expect Steve to do? If all the wide receivers were covered, he would take off and run.
Yeah.
But he can't run every game.
Right.
So if the wide receivers aren't getting open or making spectacular catches with a rookie quarterback, what do they expect this guy to do? I'll hang up and listen. Love the show, guys.
Thank you, B.A. Appreciate the call.
Yeah. The only counter argument would be Tom Brady, vast majority of his career, other than when he had Moss and Edelman maybe towards the end of his career, he was making guys' career. He was that good, you know. He was getting the Super Bowl. So, but we know he's a unique.
It's the gold standard.
Yeah. So that's different. So yeah, it goes hand in hand. You know, you got to be able to protect. Get the quarterbacks time. Quarterbacks are all good, man. They got in here for a reason. All the athletes are good. They got in there for a reason. But if you give a quarterback time, even I'm gonna use Slays, where Nathaniels, even them, you give them time, man. They back there playing 7-on-7. They'll pinpoint all day long. But if you make anybody uncomfortable, and if you don't have confidence that your backside is being protected or whatever, man, every quarterback can look average. You know, you see that with even veterans, even some of the best. To ever do it, have had moments where the pressure got to them as far as in their face, defensive lineman, that type of pressure. But other than that, do we build this thing around Malik? I think that's, to your point earlier, that's a philosophy change for the Titans. You go from a prominent run first mentality, ball control, time of possession type of game to more about the quality of possession and our quantity in a lot of respects. I think a lot of these up-tempo offenses are trying to get as many possessions as they can, too.
615-737-1045, the number. Rod is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, calling in with us here on Titans Talkback. What's going on, Rod?
I'm doing pretty good. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Yes, and that's a tough 5-game losing streak, but I'm still with the Titans. I've been with the Titans ever since the Kevin Dyson days, the McNabb days. I've been with the Titans ever since. I had a question for Mr. Dyson, though. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would it be hard for the Titans to incorporate in these last couple of games more of a spread offense and more zone read? Because during this game, Malik looked much better to me, a little more comfortable, where it was spread out, the zone read, where he could actually make a quick decision and use his feet if he needs to. Now, this may take some snaps away from Derrick Henry in this spread type of offense. I mean, do you think they could incorporate that, or is down and capable of incorporating that in the last couple of games to see what we're working with Malik's. And I have one more question after that.
Yep.
Is Vrabel, I think he's good, but I think he's going to have to reevaluate his assistants. And I don't know if he's going to be faced with a situation like Mike Mularkey where he had to make a decision and throw loyalty out of the window. Because, Mike Mularkey was reported he didn't want to get rid of some of those assistants he had. And, hey, he said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and leave too. So I want to make sure, Mike Vrabel understands. I think going forward, he's going to have to reevaluate that staff and may have to just clean it out and start over. But on those two questions, I wish you guys would just touch on it for me. I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Ron.
Yeah, I think we saw some of the spread style today. I think there was a zone fake and do a quick slant right behind it. Derrick Henry just kind of flashed to him and threw a slant to Westbrook-Ikhine. And if people remember, I think Mariota did that one of his first completions in National Football League against Tampa Bay. It was very reminiscent of that same play when he hit the inside slant, and it got a big game as far as for Westbrook. It was a first down. So I think they did incorporate a little bit of it today. I think if you are looking that you got another week, another sample size of his abilities and where he's able to maybe comprehend and do from a offense play caller standpoint and maybe recognizing defenses, I think you start incorporating things that fit his skill set, whether that is more of a zone college type scheme. My opinion is, I think it's similar to what you see in Baltimore. He's in shotgun more often than not up there in Baltimore, utilizing play action, rollouts, play fakes. Still it's decent in the run game. I think if you do that, though, that's taking the emphasis away from 22 and putting it back on the quarterback, because those offenses are quarterback first related.
How difficult is that to install a brand new offense this late into the season? How much does that take away from your opponent-specific preparation when you're having to install completely new looks for a new quarterback?
Well, I think you can incorporate different things. You still got to keep your staple of plays this is what we do. It's what we run all year long. But I think just like you saw today, you saw to incorporate a play or two here and there that you can maybe build upon, have different, everybody says, have packages, but essentially that's what you can build upon. A lot of times it's just the way the ball is delivered. We can be running outside zone or stretch or outside stretch or something. It's just a matter of I'm on the center and I'm meeting the running back at the point of attack, as opposed to in a zone scheme. I'm right there on the center, 4.5 yards back. He's taking the ball with me. And now he's got the read as far as where his cut is, talking about the running back. So, there are some schematic philosophical differences, because now you're shifting to leaving that ball in the hands and the decisions into the mind of a young quarterback. Because in those schemes, a lot of it falls on the quarterback's decision. Whether you're reading the in-man line scrimmage or whether you're tucking in, throwing it, you're relying on that guy to make the right decision every time. It's as opposed to maybe spoon feeding the answer, if you will. I don't know how to give a better analogy than that, but just kind of, here's a screen, do this screen. Now you're just saying, hey, it's on you. Is he ready for that though?
This offense is built for Derrick Henry to be as successful as possible.
Absolutely.
Has been for years. When you go to Malik Willis and you have to make so many changes, you're changing the focal point and the foundational piece of the offense. Ryan Tannehill went really well with Derrick Henry. His skill sets and throwing those quick play action passes over the middle of the field where he's so accurate, putting the ball in the position to be caught and run with immediately, complements what Derrick Henry does. Ryan Tannehill rolling out of the pocket, coming from under center and making the reads that he does. It's a perfect marriage. Ryan Tannehill is the Titans quarterback because he complements Derrick Henry. Now, if you're building so much around Malik Willis, Rod brings up the point and is right that you're then starting to build things around the guy that isn't your best player on offense. And you're not
style doesn't necessarily fit his skill.
It does not complement the guy who is, like it or not at this point, your foundational piece on offense, which is 22. No doubt. 615-737-1045. Let's go take one more phone call before we go to break. Let's go to Chad here calling in from Middle Tennessee up next. Hey, Chad.
Hey, how y'all guys doing?
Good.
How you doing, man?
Doing good. My comment was more of along with Vrabel and him taking his blame. I like Coach Rabel. I love the defensive coach. I love the style. But at some point, everybody keeps blaming Todd Downing, and I'm not even sure I like Todd Downing. But nothing is changing. So that tells me he believes in Todd Downing. And I also know that if you're asking players to do what they can't do, that's the coach's fault. KD knows that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he says he had no clue that Robson was going to get fired. Well, Miss Adams doesn't wake up one morning without input.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, no. You know, y'all know as well as I do. You don't fire somebody and go to the second guy. He either got chewed out, is my thing, or she doesn't fire the guy over him and not come to him and say, "You're up."
Yeah, thanks for the call.
This is your job.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it. Sure, yeah, everybody's held accountable, but I don't see Amy Adams Strunk as the kind of owner that's super into meddling in the middle of a season. With
she's not doing Jerry Jones.
That's not her.
That's not her. No. I think she's of the mindset of, I hired you to do a job and I expect you to do it, and I got my part in this, and that's what I'm going to do. But this is your role. This is my expectations. You expect you to do it. I don't think she meddles. I think they inform her, obviously, of decisions and things of that nature, but I don't think she's the type that hovers over them and puts nose into personnel decisions per se.
615-737-1045. We've got 30 more minutes left to Titans Talkback here, presented by Lee Company, as we continue to take your phone calls and take your reaction to a 19-14 win for the Houston Texans over the Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1045. Rich from Huntsville will lead us off when we come back on Titans Talkback, 1045 The Zone. Titans Talkback continues on for 30 more minutes here on 104.5 The Zone. Merry Christmas, wherever you're listening today in Music City, USA, and beyond. We're brought to you by Lee Company. All you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. 615-737-1045 is our number with Kevin Dyson. I'm Will Boling. Brett Batchelor making our show happen as we go to the phone lines and hear from Rich in Huntsville, Alabama, next up with us here tonight. What's going on, Rich?
Hey, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I'm a vent. I'm just vent. Okay. Oh, man. We don't know what Amy's going to do at the end of the season. Quit saying Mike Vrabel's job. Mike ain't going nowhere. We thought the same thing about John Robinson. They just renewed their contracts at the same time this year, and Robinson's gone.
John Robinson wasn't the executive of the year. Mike Vrabel was the coach of the year in the NFL.
My point is that they got their contracts renewed, and Robinson's gone. We don't know what Amy's going to do, especially if they lose, if they end up going 7-10 the rest of the way. I mean, Marty Schottenheimer was coach of the San Diego Chargers at 14-2 and got fired.
Yep.
We just don't know. This game is about Vrabel. This ain't got nothing to do with Al down in the buck stops at the top. That was a horrible call to have Malik throw that ball and throw that interception. I'm talking about the one before the Hail Mary interception. They should have been running that doggone ball. This falls on Vrabel. And I'm cut out the lower fair with Vrabel. We don't know what Amy's going to do. Amy already showed us that she got a little bit of buzz in her. So lose these last two games, and then we'll see what Amy does. That's my take.
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, Mike Vrabel's not going anywhere.
I still don't. He ain't not going anywhere.
No. You made a very clear statement as well, by the way, to the organization and to the fan base when John Robinson was the one let go and not Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, because that's not typical. Typical the coach, as we've seen even this year. The coach be gone halfway through the year, not the GM.
Amy Adams-Strunk has made a clear statement that the deficiencies and the shortcomings of this franchise over the past season and coming into this year were on personnel management in the front office, not on the head coach.
Yes.
So, yes, we know what Amy Adams-Strunk is going to do, at least as far as the end of this season when it comes to keeping the head coach around. 615-737-1045, the number. Melanie is in Nashville, up next with us on the phone lines. Hey, Melanie.
Hi. Happy holidays to you guys.
Thank you. You as well.
Happy holidays.
Same to you all. I know the last few weeks have been disappointing, and, I think the injuries have played a part in that. But when you try to find a positive and a negative, today when Roos grabbed Willis and threw him for that touchdown, that just made my day. And those are the things that, I wish the season could have been just a highlight of the season. But to me, that gave me life today, and that's the kind of teamwork that I like to see. And, we can't win them all. And like I said, I think injuries have played a part in it, and, it is what it is. But that's all I wanted to say. And, again, happy holidays to you guys.
Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate the call.
Appreciate it.
I think Jordan Roos played a good game today.
Yeah.
Made his first career NFL start at the age of 29. Good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah. They're going to need him to have a couple more starts that are good.
We had some bright spots. Gibbons got his first career pick.
Yep.
Danico Autry, he had a sack, 2 quarterback hurries, 2 tackle for loss, 2 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. I mean, that's a pretty good stat line. So we had some bright spots today.
Right.
So I appreciate the positivity coming in.
Absolutely. Sure. 615-737-1045, the number. Dylan is in Antioch, up next, calling in with us on Titans Talkback. What's going on, Dylan?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking the call.
Yep.
I'm not as passionate as Rich, but I'm kind of going down the same lane here. I don't blame it on Vrabel, Malik, Downing, or Robinson, RIP. This is on ownership. I mean, the move, when Amy Adams-Strunk fired John Robinson, that's something her dad would do. I mean, she hasn't made a crazy move like that ever before. And, look, I'm a big Titans fan. Tickets today were going for $6. $6. I know Nissan Stadium ain't going to be around much longer. I would have loved to go to this game, but I made a decision to, protest it. I don't want to be there. This is a terrible product they're putting out on the field. Straight up. It is a bad product they're putting out on the field. And it's obvious to everyone. What's going to happen with the O-line?
Well, Dylan, the Amy Adams Strunk made an identical decision when she fired Mike Mularkey after winning a playoff game in Kansas City. And that one worked out pretty well for her.
It has so far. And you know what? I kind of felt bad for Mularkey. That's a whole different thing. Anyways, one more thing. Listen. All these positive Titans fans, shut up. I'm so sick of hearing all these rainbows and sunshine. You know what? We're just glad to be here. You guys, we're just glad to be here. We're in the playoff hunt. You know what? We're screwed. This whole franchise is screwed. And everyone who's acts positive about it, just shut up. I'm so sick of hearing it. Anyways, that's all I got. See ya.
Well, Merry Christmas, Dylan.
Well, Merry Christmas. That was the Grinch of all the calls tonight right there.
615-737-1045. I mean, honestly, I understand negativity and I understand the feelings coming out of this loss in the last 5 games, right? I get it. But we can kind of talk about the facts of the points and give our own reaction. The fact of the matter is, Amy Adams Strunk made an equally brash decision in letting go of Mike Mularkey when she did, allowing her new general manager, John Robinson, to pick his head coach, help out pick the head coach, which was Mike Vrabel, and they were in the AFC Championship game 2 years later.
Yep.
So, yes, she's made a decision like this before. Time will tell whether or not this one is equally as successful, but that one was.
Yeah.
So.
I remember when that happened, when she let Mularkey go, and then we ended up with Coach Vrabel. I remember saying whoever came in after that, because you're talking about a guy who brought the organization back from the depths of number 3 pick to whatever, just seemingly up there losing seasons, and wins a playoff game, and you let him go. The next coach, I said, is it Super Bowl or bust? Because you had a guy that was trending up. Well, for the most part, Vrabel came in and was an upgrade. To probably a lot of people's surprise, especially after where it had been. So now we're at that point with expectations, because it's on him. You're a result of your own success. So now the expectation goes up, and I think we had some higher expectations, and they're not being met. So now we're here. Now we're second guessing and questioning and trying to decide if he's the right guy or those type of things. So the easy fix for a gashing wound right now to put the Band-Aid on is go ahead and get a new coordinator and whatever other position you feel like wasn't producing at a high level, and start over from that perspective and see where this takes you next year. But it's still, whoever you get to call plays, their philosophies have to align. Is Vrabel going to change his philosophy at this juncture in his career and on this and his tenure with this team? I don't see that happening either. So I don't know if it's going to be this flashy, seemingly ball in the air first type offense that we're getting accustomed to seeing in the National Football League, as opposed to more of the dynamics what we have right now of a defensive-minded, field position, time of possession type coach. That I just don't see him going and getting just a guy who's going to put the ball in the air 40 times a game.
615-737-1045, our number. Coming all the way from Kentucky, calling in with us tonight. We go to Tanner next on the phone lines. What's going on, Tanner?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's it going?
Good.
Good. I just had a hypothetical for you because, the way it's looking, we're not going to win the division, unless something crazy happens and we ball out, last week of the season. So I was thinking, our draft pick, we'll probably have the top 15 draft pick with the way it's looking. And I was curious on your guys' thoughts of, do you think we would try to make a move in the draft to get, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in next year's draft, kind of like which I know Arizona, they had the number 1 overall pick when they got Kyler Murray, and the year before they, drafted Josh Rosen. So I was just kind of see what, your thoughts on that were, and I'll hang up.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Tanner.
I just think of, after the draft process, the pre-draft process, just where do you value and rate those guys there? Like, if that guy has a measurable, like I say, Zach Wilson, who has been struggling so far but had a really high draft grade, obviously, because he was drafted very high. do you want that to start over with? A guy who's struggling right now? Right? So it's I don't know. I guess we'll see. Excuse me. We'll see as far as at the workouts and who declares early and all those sorts of things as to what potentially, because I think the Titans will be, he said 15. I think they'll be in the 17 or 20-ish range, right?
Right. Yeah.
So is that third, maybe potentially third or fourth quarterback in that draft class worth the pick right there when you just invested in Malik Willis as well?
I mean, you've got a lot of needs. You've got a lot of needs and not a whole lot of money to pick up those needs with. I see this team being another year away from going to get its quarterback.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to go get a quarterback, you're looking for high upside and value later on again, and you're not likely to do that 2 years in a row because you just did that with Malik Willis.
So, and then unless you concede and say this isn't it and go a different direction,
right,
and start over. But then again, it looks to the point of personnel decisions and things of that nature.
And you're just 1 year back, where you were literally this time last year.
Yep. So,
I mean, if you went and got Hendon Hooker in the second or third round, who has got high upside coming off a knee injury, you're taking as big of a risk in a quarterback coming from a different scheme, coming off a major injury, than you are with Malik Willis, who's 1 year into your scheme,
right?
Who's trying to make the exact same adjustment.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I'm with you. It's going to be a really interesting offseason, to say the least. 2 more games to go at least, but it is going to be a fascinating offseason in that sense. 615-737-1045, our number. We got an X in Antioch up next on the phone lines. What's going on, X?
What's up, y'all? Happy holidays to everybody that's on the station right now. Me personally, I just feel like a lot of these fans that had a lot of moonshine. Because for one, they know good and well before we even go into this game what we get. They know, like everybody calling in, it's the product. I don't want to go to the game because the product. Bro, you knew a year ago or at the beginning of the season what we was going to be like. Everybody knew that we was going to be struggling because of injuries. Then, like, people on here talking about Malik Willis this way. Man, leave Malik. I get it. He messed up at the end, but, dude, he a rookie. Like, come on now, look at the line he got. That man had people not seeing, like he said, it's the moments, like that long scramble that he had like at that drive. You know what I'm saying? Like, they not looking at the stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of upside to this kid. And then my final thing is get off of Verbal and Amy. They ain't got nothing to do with Derrick Henry fumbling. Like, that goes back to a moment where, we wouldn't have been in a situation where Malik Willis would have thrown an interception that night. No disrespect to the king, but had he not fumbled, we wouldn't have been in that situation. So, like, man, they gotta chill. Like, it's Christmas Eve. Drink, do what you gotta do. But come on, y'all, get off them like that. Y'all have a good holiday.
All right, man. I appreciate the call, bro.
Merry Christmas, man.
Get off of the boys, man.
I mean, I get it. Christmas spirit. 615-737-1045. Cousin P in Nashville up next on the phone lines as we start to wrap things up. What's going on, Cousin P?
Hey guys, man. So we had a caller probably maybe 2 or 3 calls ago that wasn't very far off in terms of what he was thinking about what Amy Adams-Trump would do. I mean, y'all kind of hit on it as well. You saw what happened with Mike Mularkey with his resistance with letting Robert Cornell go.
Good point.
At the end of the day, the thing is this, man. I love Mike Vrabel. Okay, I really do. I don't think that he's in danger this season. But if he continues to keep his staff, if Todd Downing continues to have a job in this league, I think that you're looking at a situation where it could be a Mike Mularkey, and we're going to be on our 4th Mike, perhaps. I'm just saying, guys, think about it. So I would hate to see that because I love Mike, man. I think this one's the best Mike, but at the end of the day, it's a business, man. So if he's not willing to let Todd Downing go, hey, guess what? I mean, you got to go the way of Mike number 2. Just saying. All right, y'all have a great night. Tighten up and listen.
Happy holidays, man.
Thank you, Cousin P. Appreciate it. I do agree with that long term.
Yeah.
I think where we're in alignment and where, some of the callers have jumped the gun a little bit is saying that conversation will be happening this offseason.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think, first of all, the Titans are going to have a new offensive coordinator next year.
Yeah.
They have to.
I just don't know how, with everything that's going on, and somebody's got to jump dive on the sword, right? Somebody has to.
Sure.
And
right.
And it's not Vrabel. Everybody can 100% agree with that. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. And crazier things have happened in the National Football League. But if there's going to be change on the coaching staff, that would be the assumption.
I mean, you're leading the league in 3 and outs on offense.
Yeah.
You've used 82 players now. Jim Wyatt tweeting out just a couple of minutes ago, but I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is all making assumption based on trends of the National Football League, professional coaching in general. That would seem to be the most common move that we all would agree is probably at the very minimum is going to happen. After that remains to be seen on first who you bring in and what other potential coach they deem not productive or not getting production out of their position. And I got a couple that I think, but that's for a whole nother conversation. But I think at the minimum, offense coordinator. And if he doesn't, when he talked about it, there is some loyalty in that. There is something to say about being loyal to guys that you know they do it a certain type of way, they're loyal to you. There is something to that as well. And caller mentioned it with Malarkey and Romeo Crennel. We've talked about it with Munchak and his guys. Jeff was loyal to his guys. Everybody has their guys, man, and sometimes blood is thicker than water, man.
615-737-1045. We've got time for one more phone call here tonight, and we will send it to Bobby in Nashville to wrap things up. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, guys. Thank you for taking my call. It's an honor talking to you, Kevin, first and foremost. Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas,
man.
man.
A couple of points real quick, man. Obviously, we've been skimming by for the last couple of years. Seems like we go down to the nitty-gritty in quite a few games over the last few years. You know, every once in a while we'll get that good blowout, but it just seems – and we knew all this was coming, that we wasn't going to continue just to skim by. So a couple of points. On Malik, it seems like when they looked at Malik's film, they knew that he was from a more simple of an offense, one-read type of – and a guy that had wheels and row. I think that he looks so uncomfortable. They're trying to change everything about him, about what made him Malik.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we could maybe possibly roll the pocket to one side to buy him some more time and let him use his wheels?
Sure.
And I kind of disagree on one thing. So obviously I'm the biggest UT fan there is, you know. So Dobbs signing was great. But I feel like Dobbs at this point, obviously just into the camp, but I think that his intelligence, and I think that he's going to be able to, if it's going to be more of that pocket style, stay back, I think that he's more set up to read the defense better than what Malik is. You know, but Malik was always, let's run first and let's go, you know.
Yeah, appreciate it. And hey, Bobby, we are out of time, so we have got to unfortunately keep it moving here. But yeah, I think, Dr. Dyson, we've got about 30 seconds here. They're going to have to cater things a lot more towards Malik in order for him to be successful starting Thursday.
And you hope that the sample size and the film study that you've got, I saw some things incorporated with him today that they're probably going to try to evolve in and try to create some sort of offense. They look good for a quarter and a half, almost the whole first half, and then it just went to crumbles, almost like you shoot all your bullets in the first half, hope you get a lead, and if not, after that, then what? So work cut out for him as we watch this Dallas team go back and forth with Philly.
Sure do. And we look ahead to next week's opponent in the look ahead presented by Eurofix, reminding you that Eurofix repairs everything European you drive and below dealer pricing. ASC certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. And next week, the Titans in 5 days are back to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Thursday night football, primetime in Nissan Stadium this week. And that is our look ahead presented by Eurofix. Well, that does it for Titans Talkback presented by League Company. All you need online at leaguecompany.com. Titans radio coverage is produced by Philip Noel and Brad Willis. Studio producer is Joe Hunkapiller. Scoreboard producer, Lucas Panzica. Promotions director is Rich Ferris. Director of sales, Hunter Rice. General manager, Allison Warren. Operations managers, Charlie Cook and Paul Mason. The executive producer of Titans Radio is Rhett Bryan. Good night and Merry Christmas from Nashville. We'll talk to you Thursday on Titans Talkback.